In our next examples for 3.4, which is again dealing with logical equivalence, and we're using right now the special case of De Morgan's law, I do think even if it's in words, it's easiest to go from symbols to symbols. So I will recommend that you do that in between. Number 3 that we're dealing with is just dealing with determine the equivalence. This is where I want you to pause it, use the rules from above, go ahead and try to do it. When you're done, remember we always start with the one with the parentheses with the negation outside of it. So when you think you're done, you have 2 ways to do this. You can actually first just substitute in the equivalence inside and then negate, or you can use the direct one, which is above in green. If I were doing this problem, the first thing I would do is do the equivalent to the conditional, which the equivalent to the conditional says negate the first, so that becomes a P. The if then becomes an or, and then my last one we keep. So notice I negated the first, flipped from conditional to or, and I kept the second. Even if you're writing down the symbols, think about what you did to each piece. I negated the first, went to an or, kept the second. Now I can use De Morgan's law and distribute it to all 3 things. So it says negate the first, flip to an and, negate the second. Compare it. My answer is yes. Please be careful. I suggest doing it in this form. I memorize this top one. I choose not to personally memorize the last one because I think that you have too much floating in your head, but you can. So number 4 wants us to write an equivalent sentence in words. The first thing you really need to do is you need to go to symbols first because you're going to make mistakes if you do not. If we're doing that, remember, let's circle our key words. It is false that, which is my negation, and I put my parentheses. Greg Dietrich selects formulas, which is my P, or, and I like to highlight right now because that makes sure that I've not missed any of my logical connectives. So I have P or Q on this one. Now I use De Morgan's law, which says negate P and negate Q. So I am now going to write in words this statement. So I'm going to abbreviate when I write this piece out. Greg Dietrich does not select formulas, and Moana does not apply concepts. Notice I have those all pieces in there, but people that tend to not want to write it all out, they do not get all of the pieces in there. They forget, specifically they usually forget the and. I really recommend writing them in symbols first. It doesn't take you very long. This is your last test material. Go ahead and show that work. So let's go to number 5. This is going, and it's telling you it wants you to use this fact. And remember that this fact, it doesn't matter, but what we do is we negate the first, we flip from an if-then to an or, and then we keep the second. So all I did there was write in words what that symbols mean. And again, I am going to think about it in symbols first. So I'm going to go through here and circle my key words. So I have Bryce walked to the meeting, and I have we started late. So in symbols right now for my sentence, I have negation of P or Q. This actually is using the direct piece, but I'm not even going to look at what I have in green because the relationship says, look at what I said in words. We negate the first, go from or to if then, keep the second. So I think that, again, some of you can do it from there, but notice I'm not using the format that I normally do. I'm going backwards on this one. So I now want to write that statement out in words, which if I have them highlighted like this, it makes it super easy for you to do. The if has to be first. Byron, and so this would be, did walk to the meeting, comma, then we started late. That's it. The people that get these wrong are because they're trying to do everything in their head. It just takes seconds to write it in symbols, use the relationship, and then go back to words. If you try to go from words to words, you're going to miss those negation pieces, and it's right or wrong. So looking at number 6, we're using that third piece, which was the negation of the conditional. And if they're going to give it to you, go ahead and use it. So remember, we're going to start off, circle our keywords, and then I'm going to actually highlight the simple statements, just so I can see them easier. So it is false that, which means the whole piece, and I only have 2 simple statements, so the whole thing is going in here with the if then. P, then Q. This one is a very straightforward one in the sense that it gave you that direct piece that we already had. But I'm going to go up here again and look at what this negation does, relationship. So if I have this part memorized, or if they give it to you, I still want you to look at the relationship of what happens to it. We keep the first. It goes from an if then to an and then we negate the second. This is if we were negating. And so you got to be careful. Like, don't just write the word. You actually have to know what's happening. But if I have what these symbols are down there, I can clearly write down what I'm doing here. So this says, keep the first. Because I'm negating, it's going to go to an or and negate the second. So my answer for this one will be GE makes a telephone, or the telephone is not made in the U.S. Just going from there. So step 1, write it in symbols. Step 2, convert it using the relationship. Step 3, go back to symbols. And again, you'll notice that I actually write my words in all capitals. It's just so that my brain can definitely focus on that idea. So those were just examples of actually applying what we learned in that first part of the video for this section. The next piece is going to be a really important one. You will have this idea on the test. These are going to go over, again, equivalent forms, but you definitely need to memorize these 4 forms. Pairs of these are equivalent, and we're going to go over how to figure it out. I actually, again, used to always do these just in symbols, but when you start getting into more complicated simple statements included in with it, it's better for you to think about them in words. So my conditional is just my conditional. If P, then Q. And if always goes first. My converse flips the order. But it's still if, if fill in the blank, then fill in the blank. The if stays at the front. When I say flip the order, notice it's just the simple statements that I'm flipping the order on. So I'm going to write that there. Simple statements, flip order. My inverse says keep the order, but negate your simple statements. Keep the order, negate simple statements. My contrapositive says negate my simple statements and flip the order. So it doesn't matter which way you write those. Flip the order of simple statements and negate simple statements. So you can memorize it in words, you can memorize it in symbols. So these are the symbols that go with it, and these are the words. And if you look actually at a lot of my handouts, I actually will just say on this top one, flip order. On this one I will say keep order, negate. And this one I will say flip order, negate. It's because, again, I don't like to write everything out. But I have found that some people get confused by what I mean by negate, and they start trying to change symbols of your if-then. The if-then stay the same. All four of these are variations of the conditional statement, so they're all conditional. The difference is what we're doing with the simple statements around them. So when I use these words over here on the right in red, converse flips the order. That's relating to the simple statements. Inverse, flip the order, keep the order and negate. You're negating the simple statements. Contrapositive, you're flipping the order of your simple statements and you're negating them. Whenever I'm referring to these four words, these are all conditional. So when I refer to them in red over there on the right-hand side, I'm referring to them in their simple statement format. So we're now going to, and I just have it written kind of nicer, obviously, for you to read, prove which ones are equivalent by doing a truth table. So I want you to pause this. I want you to fill in this truth table, and then I want you to tell me which pairs are equivalent. When you think you're done, unpause it. Remember, order matters if you're dealing with an if-then. So we're going to use this rule pretty much throughout this whole chart, and order does matter. So be careful. The first one is straightforward. It's just your conditional. So I'm going to go ahead and label that as my conditional. And that says, again, I'm looking at the first two columns. The only time I break my promise is if I go true then false. I didn't do what I said I would do. Going to column 4, this is flipping the order. So this is my inverse. I'm flipping the order. So it's important I'm looking at column 2 first. So I'm going right to left. True then true works. If it starts with a false, it's already true. I break my promise on the third one. The last one I do not. For the other two forms of conditional, I have to do negations of pieces. And remember, negations of pieces are just saying negate what you have as the pattern. So in this case, I don't want to use green. False, false, true, true. Alternating pairs. Now I'm going to look at, for this next piece, I'm keeping the order and negating each. So this is the inverse. I am looking at column 5, then 6. So if I start off with a false, it's automatically true. The only one I break my promise on is the third, which is going to be false, and then true. The last one is going from column 6 to 5, and order matters. This is the one that I flipped the order and negated. So this is my contrapositive. Important that you look at the order correctly. So false then false, I'm good. The only one I break my promise on here is true then false. The other two are going to be true. So now we want to look at which ones match. So with my original, which is my conditional, that matches the last one, which is my contrapositive. My inverse matches my, and I'm sorry, I did actually write something wrong there. I apologize. This is my converse, matches my inverse. So equivalent forms, they will give you the same answer. That's what it means to be equivalent forms. They will give you the same truth values. Easy to remember, converse and inverse go together because of the verse. And actually, if you stop and think about it, the conditional and contrapositive should be. Because we're saying if P happens, then Q happens. Contrapositive is saying that Q didn't happen. Well, if Q didn't happen, looking up here, P can't happen. So it should make sense. You can use these relationships, but this is something that you do need to memorize for the test. Okay. Which ones are equivalent? What do I do? So if I ask you to give me the converse, you need to know that means flip the order. If I ask you to do the contrapositive, it means flip the order and negate. You can memorize them in symbols or you can memorize them in words, but you're going to be asked to do this on the test.